Well, I got it right today and still ended up wrong. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. It is Monday, August the 28th. And yeah, I was right on the direction this morning trading the Dow Jones, also took a trade on the Russell and took a trade on ES as well that ended up being a stop out. And basically the moral of today was my stops were too tight and the directions were correct, but just, yeah, stops were too tight. So, and I'm having a major freezing issue, so I'm not quite sure how this video is going to go. We're probably going to try to look at some of this stuff in TradeZella. So today, down 1149, I have reduced my entry size. I want to talk about my trading and how I'm taking my trades. I'll talk about more of that in a minute. But today I took 4 trades, all losers, only $32 loss per account, keeping my red day to a minimum, which is really what I'm after. Is when I have a red day, I do not want it to be a big red day like this. I want to keep this pretty small. So that's the win for me today. And just the lesson really is in some of these trades I took. So this was the first trade. And again, this is freezing up on me. So I'm going to kind of jump back and forth and maybe draw a little bit. But here's the first trade. That was the entry. My stop loss was right above this level. That was a mistake. My stop should have been up here. And I ended up getting stopped out on that trade. I re-entered after we did a retest of this overnight low. I re-entered that trade and added into this position. After I got my first profit target hit there, I added into the position, and that changed my average entry to here, the way that this add-in was, and I ended up getting stopped out here for a loss, basically a $30 loss. So both of these trades ended up being $30 losers. Also had a Russell trade very similar on key level, and obviously I can't go there, but a key level trade on the Russell that was a stop out because my stop loss was too tight. The same thing on ES. I did take a long on ES midday, ended up getting stopped out. Just had my stop right below the level we wicked through and then continued, and it was just one of those days. But here's what I want to talk about. I have been trading with a $200 risk, and I have reduced that down to my ATM basically at $100, and I'm even going smaller than that. So on this trade this morning, this was my entry, like we talked about right here. Now, obviously, the spot for this stop loss really should have been right here around the 625s. If I had done that, 2 contracts, I'm going in with 2 contracts, 2 micros, my risk on that trade is $45. So that's where this should have been set. And then I take my first target at 2R. So this risk times 2, which basically puts us right here at about the 490s. Or 4, let me look at it. I did charted this out. Yeah, right around the 490s. My second target then would have been right here around the 445s. Actually, that would have been, let's see if I can erase this without having too big of an issue. That would have been more like down here. I'm new to this drawing tool, so bear with me for a minute. It would have been right about here around the 45s. So that would have been my first 2 targets. This one here would have had a value of about 45 bucks. In fact, it would have been exactly $45. And this one would have had a value of about $68. Which means that I would have had a net trade if I would have gotten that trade only of $113. So the way I'm doing this add-in is I'm going in with 2 micros to test and make sure I get a profit target. If I get to my first profit target here at 45, I'm adding 2 contracts right here. So I'm going +2. And what that does is it sets my new break even right around, that would set it right around the 505. So somewhere here would be the new break even. And my stop stays here. And what that allows me to do is if the market comes back and stops me out right here, I still end up with about a 0 trade. It's basically a wash. So for a $45 risk, I can take 1 contract off, add 2, and then my new targets are at 432 is where this one would have been. So somewhere here. And then my last one would have been at the 395s, which would have been somewhere right here. And the values here would have changed. So I would no longer have had this 113, this 68, the 45 stays because that one would have gotten taken off. This one here would have had a value of 31. This one would have had a value of 37, and the last one would have a value of 55. And that gives us a trade if you get that fill with 4 contracts, taking one off, adding 2, getting those 3 more. Now all at once, this trade ends up being about 165, 167. So instead of, I can, for the same risk of 45, once I get to this first profit target, I can add, and basically I'm at a 0 trade. And I have the option to get up to $165 profit target instead of only going in with 2 contracts, risking 45 and getting out with 113. Now that would have been had I had my stop in the right place, if that makes sense. But I'm just kind of explaining this is more my strategy. Instead of going in risking 1 to 200 on that first trade and then getting stopped out, and then you're pretty much done for the day. I'm being able to get into a trade with a lot smaller risk and a lot more upside. And it just, that add in, it just works. It simply works. It's something that I've been testing quite a bit and I really, really like it. And I'm starting to mess with it on the funded account. So today, unfortunately, I had the trade right, had the idea correct. We got the flush. We got a pretty good move. We basically from the highs up here, whoops, it's not a straight line, but the highs up here were around the 660s and the lows ended up being around the 360s. So we got about 200 points or 300 points on the NASDAQ or on the Dow Jones today. And that would have been definitely a very nice trade had I had all that correct. So again, it was a tough day just with the way I had my stop set. I got too cute with my stop losses. I mean, this trade right here, this is well, it's not showing it, but this was a $25 loss actually. So there's no reason that I shouldn't have had this stop. I mean, I could have had it all the way up here and had a $60 loss and still would have, I may not have added into that with that big of a stop loss because now my first profit target or for a 2-hour trade has to be all the way down here. And I'm probably not going to do that. If I'm going to take that big of a stop loss, I'm going to get out with 1 hour on the first contract. So taking this and this is my 1 hour trade here, and then taking my second one out here at 2 hour, and I'm not adding in. However, I could have done that. There's no reason I couldn't. But I really am upset with myself that I didn't see this and say, hey, this was the previous. We've had a double top rejection right here. Why not have your stop above this area? That's an extra $5 or $6. That's not going to kill anybody if I get stopped out there. And I could have gotten out of here again, 2R. Add into that trade, have another contract coming off here, and the last one down here, and we could have had a pretty nice trade there today. So anyway, hindsight is 20/20, but just wanted to point that out is how I'm doing or how I'm setting up some of this trading now. So anyway, that's that. I'll leave you with that since this chart is not cooperating. Again, it's just froze. So I'm having to resort, if I want to do anything, I have to come to this draw area where I can draw things on the charts, which is something that's probably going to be a little bit more helpful to me going forward when I do these videos, is to kind of just show some of my ideas and what the trades I'm taking, the trends, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, once again, just appreciate you guys. Thanks for following along. Thanks for using code BCT with Take Profit Trader, Apex, TradeZella, and also Affordable Indicators. There's a link in the description below for that. Also code BCT with QuantGuard, as you see there. I do use that every single day. And just a heads up, TradeZella is coming for, or not TradeZella, Tradeovate is going to be available for QuantGuard, I think later this week. And that'll be huge, being able to put all of our accounts into QuantGuard and being able to lock ourselves out or set very, very good risk parameters and keep these accounts long term. It's just that added peace of mind benefit on the back end. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Hopefully tomorrow's a better day. And again, it's a small red day. And like I talked last week, I'm really trying to win the weeks. A red day Monday, a small red day Monday is something we can definitely come back from. I mean, we had a very, very small green week last week. But that's really what I'm focused on, is trying to get some green days put together and have a winning week. And if you start stacking winning weeks, then we get to take these accounts to payout. So anyway, that's that. I'll quit rambling. But again, appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a good night. Have a good day tomorrow. Keep your head on straight, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care, and so long.